One of the number one skills that you must have when you're on your way to cracking $1 million months is the skill of generating laydown deals that pay high ticket, ideally pay in fulls, PIFs. In this video, we're gonna be going through what you need to do, what are the best practices to dramatically increase the total quantity of laydown deals that are high ticket that you're probable to generate on your way to $1 million months. If you're new to the channel, it's all we talk about around here, hitting the big million a month. We give away trophies for it too, for our inner circle members when they hit it. We got a $1 million a month trophy and a $5 million a month trophy. We don't celebrate the in-between. The $5 million a month trophy is made out of pure silver. But hey, we have no idea who the fuck you are and whether you have any probability to ever hit those kinds of numbers. According to the US Bureau of Labor Statistics, the probability to ever crack 10 million a year is only 0.1%, let alone the even smaller probability to ever hit 12 million a year, aka $1 million months. So no earnings claims, no in any way, shape, or form implied income that you're gonna generate from watching a YouTube video. But hey, for the right people that are sitting here watching this, you're gonna get a lot of value out of it. So thank you for being here. And of course, if you're already a subscriber, welcome back. Always a pleasure to have you. Without further ado, another banger. So I like to think it all starts with who you attract, okay? And who you attract comes down to a few key things that you gotta master. Number one is friction/intent. They are directly correlated with one another. And number two is messaging. I have a whole video on my channel dedicated to this spectrum. I presented it at one of my clients. Her name's Cody Sanchez. She invited me to talk at one of her masterminds where people pay $35,000 to show up and get a lot of value. And that's just what we did for them. And we recorded a part of that talk and we dropped it right here on the channel for you. That way you can check it out and see what it was like. Moral of the story is when I was there, and I also did this in my week one master internet, no, I did it in week two. Week two of the master internet marketing class, I taught this in much more detail, of course, than what I'll ever talk about here on YouTube. But regardless, here's the nutshell of it. There's this spectrum where the higher the friction is, the higher the intent is of the leads that you're gonna generate. And we've seen this in many different ways. When we have application questions where you have to type things out rather than just multiple choice, that's friction. When you have a bunch of questions that are just multiple choice, you typically generate lower intent leads. So moral of the story is there's all kinds of funnels specifically that have a lower intent or higher intent lead that comes through. And depending on your sales team's skill sets, you want to right away pick a funnel type that's probable to attract laydown deals. And laydown deals are typically generated by a large amount of content consumption prior to the actual sales conversation occurring, okay? So from that perspective, you've typically seen this organically would be my bet if you're sitting here watching this kind of stuff, where you currently get people, just like what I'm doing here on YouTube. You consume a bunch of my videos, eventually you develop this perspective where you're like, this guy's the fucking man and he's helped me make a lot of money before I've even paid him any money. And you end up saying to yourself,
I justify fully now investing into whatever program is best for me that this guy's got links for down in the description of his videos.
And you eventually buy. But that's organic. I can tolerate you consuming however many videos it takes for you to consume over whatever period of time it takes for you to consume it, for that to turn into literally what I'm doing right here, right now, sitting down, filming these videos to eventually turn into money from you. You understand? Versus from a paid advertising perspective, I can't tolerate an undefined time frame. I want a tight cash velocity cycle. And typically in order to generate a tight cash velocity cycle, I have to be brutally honest about the skills of my sales team. Some sales teams that we've worked with, all they need is a lead form to be filled out and a couple weeks to turn that lead into a high ticket sale. And it's not necessarily a laydown deal, but that sales team can turn it into a deal regardless over a broader period of time, pursuing the lead, working their interest up, having multiple sales calls, and eventually getting the deal closed. Just to be clear though, again, it's not necessarily ideal. Laydown deals are, they show up to the call, they close at extremely high rates, they piff at a high rate, you get a fuckload of money off these laydown deals. And so again, you need funnels that are more probable than like a lead form or a lead magnet to generate that. Low ticket to high ticket is a great example of a funnel type that can produce laydown deals depending on the effectiveness, the total activation rate of your low ticket product, how fast and what type of result people can get with the low ticket product. That can definitely, and obviously your sales team skill set, that can produce laydown deals. Webinars, obvious laydown deal tactic as a funnel strategy to pick. Webinars, when done properly, highly effective at generating laydown deals. I'd argue that the number one way to be consistent with laydown deals is webinars. However, there's also a funnel, very high friction, very high intent, and it produces only laydown deals from my experience, and that's a 3-day virtual event or a challenge funnel. Those are phenomenal at just getting straight up laydowns. Show up to the phone, ready to buy, cash in hand, credit card in hand, whatever it is, they're banking closed, okay? Moral of the story is you gotta pick the right funnel right off the bat. You pick the wrong funnel, you're gonna have a bad time, right? And just to be clear, you'll notice I didn't mention call funnels. Call funnels typically don't produce laydown deals unless you have a really dialed in set of back-end selling systems and you do a great job on the front end, okay? Your salespeople in that instance also have to be very dialed in. Call funnels, I fucking love call funnels, okay? And obviously with my systems that I use, we generate laydown deals from call funnels all the time. But a lot of people, from what I've noticed, they have a higher hit rate with generating laydown deals with the funnels I already named. Low ticket to high ticket, live webinars, challenge funnels, in-person events, of course, factored into that too. Comparatively, a minority of you who don't actually use the current best practices that generate laydown deals from call funnels don't get laydown deals from call funnels for that very reason. You only have your VSL. You ask dumbass questions in your application like,
did you watch the entire video before booking the call? You know, well, you show up, you're about to book a call. Will you actually show up to the call?
it's like you say the dumbest shit that fully reveals you have no idea what the fuck you're doing in modern times to generate laydown deals from call funnels. Call funnels, if you're gonna get laydown deals from it, require you to have a dialed in VSL that a lot of people aren't gonna consume. So it then requires you to have a properly built confirmation pages that follows the modern back-end selling system best practices. Breakout videos on that page, testimonials that are also not only just the good ones, but the ones that show how bad could the deal get, okay? A bunch of expectation and process-oriented videos that answer the right questions, and a handful of other best practices. You gotta have things like the hammer them strategy in place, where as soon as they book the call, you blitz them with a fuckload of content, okay? Short form and long form. You gotta have value-dense email sequences rather than just those reminder-based emails. You gotta do both, and it's likely at a much higher frequency of communication than you are right now. You gotta have setters or your salespeople that are gonna communicate to people in a personalized, likely non-automated way that's going to increase the probability of show rates and get the education part of the sales process out of the way before the sales call. That way the sales call is actually a sales call. You see, that's where most of your issues lay inside of call funnels specifically when you talk about generating laydown deals that are high ticket. You're just turning every sales call into an education call because you have no education that happens between the booking and the actual time of the call. Bunch of videos on my channel dedicated to all of what I just talked about for back-end selling systems that you could go and consume. That will dramatically increase the probability you get laydown deals from that funnel. But I don't have it on my list here that I'm sitting here and communicating to you because a majority of you don't have that shit. You understand? And that therefore prevents laydown deals from coming from that funnel. So if you're looking for true laydown deals, you got a soft sales team. They're essentially cashiers. They just want to collect money and they want to answer a handful of questions and bank the deal closed. Low ticket to high ticket, webinars, live webinars, challenge funnels / 3-day virtual events, or if you have the audacity, money, and time to do it, and willingness, live in-person events, always laydown deals. And those are all correlated to that friction intent spectrum that I just communicated to you. The other thing that matters when you talk about the attraction of laydown deals that are high ticket is messaging. Who you're actually communicating to makes a substantial difference for who's actually probable to close. As an example, if I'm selling to people that are at a very high rate going to have to use funding in order to convert at a pay in full high ticket deal, cash collected up front kind of deal, I'm gonna need to communicate to people that have good credit. Okay, so therefore from a messaging perspective, I gotta dial in my ability to communicate to that demographic. Comparatively, if I wanna close a bunch of rich people that are liquid and have the money to actually show up and close, again, I have to be really good at selling to rich people and communicating to them effectively to attract them into the funnel in the first place. You get what I'm saying? Messaging matters so much, and it's not just your ads. It's very, very rarely nowadays does it have anything to do with targeting. It has much more to do with what you say inside of the creatives, what you say on that page, and then what you follow up with saying in all the back-end selling systems and the sales conversation. You understand? This combination of the who you attract part of it with the friction intent spectrum and messaging, this is all where it starts. This is like the foundation to your capacity to actually get to the point where you start closing people, okay? Once you attract the right people, it's very hard to fuck up the ability to generate a deal that's high ticket and a laydown deal. All it really has to do is with the information that you either provide or fail to provide, and the buying experience, the buying journey has to be reflected on. So let's look at those two things. Number one, the buyer's journey, okay? And then number two, when you look at just, let's just start with buying journey. We'll stop there and we'll continue on after. The buying journey can be altered at any stage of the process, right? From the advertising to the page to once they're obviously off the page and you start the process of looking at what is the experience of the individual that we put through this process. I like to buy burner phones, not for selling drugs or doing illicit activity, more so for secret shopping the sales teams that we work with. We want to see with burner emails, with burner names, and burner phone numbers, how the experience is. Are we going to get a text message at all? Do we get any emails other than reminder-based emails? Right? Do we have any touch point that gives us a positive impression of what's going to happen by the time we get to the phone call? Or is the phone call going to be more of an education call where, due to the fact that I didn't get any information prior to that conversation, I've now got to show up and I've got to ask all my questions and then delay the buying process as a result? How I end up being treated makes a substantial difference as to whether I'm probable to buy. Obvious thing to say out loud, very rarely does anybody that we work with actually have a recent audit of what that experience is like. I would encourage you, if you're one of those people, get your burner accounts created and go through your own process, okay? See what it's like to go through from a UI perspective. See how complicated it is. See where the friction is. See the experience you have, okay? It's like booking at a 5-star hotel. Before you even show up, usually you get a nice email from a concierge. I booked at this location here in Miami Beach called the Faena. The Faena is an amazing hotel. If you ever get the opportunity to come to Miami Beach and want to dish out like $2,500 a night on a room, they'll give you a butler if you book the right room. And not just one, a whole fucking team available to you about 18 hours a day. They'll do anything. They'll go buy you a charger. They'll book cabanas for you at the beach. They'll get you key locations and reservations around the city at different places. They'll obviously prioritize you on the property itself. They'll do whatever for you. But before you even get there and actually have that part of the experience, they communicate to you instantly upon the booking, within like minutes. They hit you up via text, not even a phone call, text. Hey, what's going on, Mr. Haynes? This is the Butler Concierge. My name's so-and-so. I work over here at the Faena. We're gonna be assigned to you at your upcoming stay on this date and this time. Wanted to get the experience started for you right here, right now. Any specific preferences that you wanna make me aware of, okay? As an example of that, they then follow up, because I didn't respond within a few hours, by saying, we plan on leaving a bottle of wine, fruit, some cheeses, and a few chocolates in the room. Are you allergic to any of these? Do you drink? I respond with saying, thank you so much, appreciate you letting me know. No, I don't drink. Just leave a nice bottle of water, like maybe like a non-alcoholic thing there if you want. Fruits, cheese, chocolates, that's fine. My fiance actually loves chocolate, thank you. And he fucking loads up this damn room with chocolate, a non-alcoholic bottle of sparkling something I didn't drink, and a fuckload of waters. This guy looked me up online before I even showed up to the property, and he continues communicating with me before I show up to the property. It's a little staycation, by the way. I live here in Miami, but hey, I don't have a place at the beach, so sometimes you gotta use a nice hotel over there. Anyway, this guy communicates, he goes, hey man, I saw that you're a Miami local, and I saw you got some really nice cars. I told the valet you're gonna be parking it out front. Let me know when you guys arrive. By the way, are you gonna bring the dogs? And I go, dude, I didn't even think about that. Am I able to? He goes, yeah, man, bring them along. How many are there? Are there still 3? And I was like, dude, this guy fucking looked me up and knows I have 3 little wiener dogs. Gives us 3 beds, 3 feeding bowls, 3 water bowls, right? What the fuck? That's awesome. That's an amazing buying experience as soon as I'm going through the process. And I know technically, to be fair, I paid for the hotel in that example, and that's officially kind of like post-purchase journey. But a lot of these things can happen with the sales team prior to the actual call. We have one sales team we work with in particular. They help people cut out alcohol. And before they get on a call with anybody, as soon as they get a call that comes in, they look the person up and they tailor the testimonials they send them based on who this person is. They get a lawyer that comes through. They have a whole category index list of testimonials that the salespeople have in like a big folder that they can easily navigate between based on profession. So that lawyer, based on the fact the guy's an attorney, gets sent a bunch of testimonials from other lawyers who had gone through the program. It makes a big experience change that increases the probability that person's gonna be a laydown deal by the time they show up, because you're starting that process of giving them that 5-star hotel experience. If a lot of your people need funding, it's like, send them a video walking them through why funding makes sense in a genuine way, like show them the math. You're gonna put these people into debt, okay? They need a very high success rate in order to pay off the debt comfortably. They need to be able to justify going into debt to buy the thing. Show them how to get into the debt. Show them how to justify the debt. Show them why it makes sense. Show them your testimonials, but also show them your refund and dispute rate prior to those calls. You get what I mean? It's like hold the person's hand throughout the buying journey, and it becomes an effortless deal by the time the actual sales conversation occurs, because a lot of the questions that would have otherwise been asked on the sales call are handled before the call. So when you hear me talk about the buyer's journey and influencing that to dramatically increase the probability of a high ticket laydown deal, answer the questions that would otherwise occur on the sales call before the sales call occurs. It is the easiest way, the most effortless way to get somebody to show up, be cash in hand, ready to fucking give you money, okay? All the justifications are already made clear. All the questions, all the expectations, all the objections, everything is handled prior to the call. And if you get serious people to go through the process in the first place through having a high friction that gets a high intent lead to come through, they'll actually have a high probability to go through and consume that information. The common mistake that most people make is they think that people have a high prerogative to go through and consume everything like those answers that we just talked about prior to the actual call being booked or prior to the webinar opt-in. Most people on the front end, they don't give a fuck about consuming all the information that you want them to consume. They will have a high probability to consume it on the back end, but you see, you misplace it. On the front end, they're in what I call scanner mode. Scanner mode is a very simple thing to understand. On the front end, right, they're in an efficient way just scanning to try to justify, is this for me, is it not for me? Is this worth the effort to commit to, is it not worth the effort? If they commit to whatever it is that you're trying to sell them to do, that's what it is. It's a commitment cycle. It's a new thing that they actively open up in their life to have to pay attention to. It's another thing on their plate. Now, to be fair, yeah, if the person's in pain, if they have a high priority on whatever it is that you sell, naturally you get a lot of commitment anyway. But here's the thing, your job is to work them up that interest spectrum and make them show up at a higher level of interest on the back end. Because remember, on the front end, all they're trying to do is just justify, is this for me, is this not for me? Once they commit, that's where there's a much higher probability that there's willingness to consume, AKA there's willingness to try to justify further. Is this for me? Is this not for me? And they do that through consumption of information. Now you have to be the one that provides the information because they're gonna find it elsewhere anyway. They might go back and forth with ChatGPT or some other fucking LLM. They might Google you and find some random shit about you. And again, you wanna be the one that provides the information because then you get to influence and control the frame. When the information comes from elsewhere, whatever frame is established by others is what gets established. And that's what you're left with. And you better hope that plays in your favor rather than against you. And the littlest shit can play against you and add to the sales cycle time frame, add to the skepticism, add to the friction and their willingness to buy. Comparatively, the more information that we can get in front of these people prior to the actual conversion event, like the sales conversation occurring, the higher the probability it is that they're actually going to close in that specific window. Now, I've got a bunch of different videos on my channel that can help you with these topics, but I always want to make it really clear. I hold back a tremendous amount on YouTube. I try to give you guys as much information as I can to put you guys on game, help you go out there and get results, because I'm trying to bribe you. I want you to be able to make enough money with my free stuff with the limited information that I provide to you, so you can go check out those links down in the description and make it a no-brainer to join into one of my offers. As an example, you're rich, you're trying to get a fuckload richer, the inner circle's perfect for you. Check out the link in the description for that. You wanna learn all things digital marketing, you're gonna wanna check out my Master Internet Marketing Program, 7 weeks of an extensive set of live classes that if you join in at the right time, you get to watch live. You join in between our live classes, you get access to the most recent classes recording, which is all up to date and extensive amounts of information. We also give you week 1 of those 7 weeks totally free. You can watch a preview of that class if you'd like to do so. Again, links down in the description. At the very least though, go check out a bunch of my other YouTube videos because there's a tremendous amount of value here for you regardless. Looking forward to seeing what you do with all of this. Go out there and get richer. Talk soon.